Hello and welcome to this Asabli Academy VILT session on Norton door closers. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Chad Tibbetts. I'm a training specialist with Asabli Academy. Today we're going to talk about and go through door closers as it relates to the Norton product line. We're going to give you some tools and tips and tricks along the way, show you some of our digital resources that we have to help you find information and get in touch with us, as well as talk about some just best practices when it comes to the different ways that we mount door closers and what they're used for. All in all, today we'll have you for about 45 minutes. Remind everybody that we have 2-week running list of VILT sessions, so virtual instructor training webinar sessions on our asabliacademy.com/because website, the same place that you went to register for this one, as well as this presentation is being recorded. So if I'm going to just at some point, or maybe you didn't miss maybe you missed something that I said, you can always go to our website, same place that you found this, click on previously recorded, and you can find this recording and watch the whole thing over again. Also, stay tuned. We are working as a department on some new topics that'll be at least in the next couple of weeks. So check back and see what those are going to be about. Always, when you're at our website, if you're not already registered as an Academy student, register, sign up for that. It's completely free for you guys. We have all kinds of useful information that are geared towards architectural hardware. So if you're new to the industry, maybe you just started working for a distributor and you want to learn as much as you can about architectural hardware, we have some great basic classes on exit devices, hollow metal doors and frames, all kinds of informational sessions. They run about 45 minutes to an hour long. And at the end, get a certificate of completion that you took that course. Is that for DHI CEUs, ALOA CEUs, we have a link on our website to how you can do that, how you can convert those over to credits. Now, for today's class, you're going to email from us in lieu of a certificate of completion saying, thank you for attending. You can use that as your proof that you attended this training today. So we're going to get right into it. Session today will be presentation with me talking, but also then we're going to jump on to my laptop, show you a website, show you a couple of my iPad to hopefully give you some tools and, again, tips and tricks, ways you can find it more efficiently. The Norton door closer is in Monroe, North Carolina. We also have an Asabli Academy training center there. So when this pandemic lifts and everybody is healthy again, we do have regularly scheduled classes, or we will have regularly scheduled classes out of that facility or close to it. It's about a mile down the road. Now, Lewis C. Norton, it's where we get the name Norton Door Closers. Lewis C. Norton founded the company in 1880 after he invented the very first, what they called door check. So their first door closer, and he was asked by a parishioner to fix the issue of a church door slamming. And he did that by inventing the very first door closer called a door check. And since then, Norton has been manufacturing door closers. They really know what they're doing. It's a state-of-the-art facility. A lot of really cool things. If you ever are in Monroe, talk to your rep, talk to your Norton rep, and see if you can get a tour. They're not doing tours right now, unfortunately, but again, when this craziness lifts, they will be doing that. Today, we're going to talk about surface-mounted door closers. We're going to talk about 2 different technologies, and that is a rack and pinion closer, which is your standard door closer that you see out there, and also a cam action closer. Norton does a really good job of giving you these sheets that tell you which closer model you should be looking at depending on your use, as well as depending on features that we have available with that closer. So if you're looking at the vast array of closer options and you're trying to figure out which one to go with, we'll give you some tips and tricks on that. But there are some product selector guides like this, and I'll show you how you can find those online. They also have others, again, strength and quality versus functionality, so durability versus features, to help you figure out which door closer is perfect for your situation. So first we're going to talk about our cast iron door closers. We're going to watch a video here in just a second that explains exactly what's happening inside of a rack and pinion door closer. Every time you open it and it closes, what's actually happening. So if you're a project manager and you're walking a job site, door closers aren't working properly. So give you kind of an idea of what's happening inside. And then I'll talk a little bit later about some other things that you can check. So we're going to watch this video. It's about 2.5, 3 minutes long. We'll come back. I'll talk about the video for a minute, and then we'll get into some of our specific models.
Cast iron closers from Assa Abloy are rugged and reliable, providing millions of cycles with minimum maintenance. But the true durability test comes during those inevitable times when extreme forces are applied to the door and the door closer. Our single-piece construction provides uniform strength and wear resistance and eliminates potential leak points. Let's look inside to see what makes this cast iron closer so durable. Here's the basics. Each time the door is opened, the closer arm turns a pinion, which moves a piston inside the fluid-filled chamber. The speed of the piston is controlled by fluid passing from one side of the closer to the other. The valve controls the speed. When the door reaches about 70 degrees open, oil begins flowing through the back check valve, gradually increasing the amount of pressure required to open the door farther. This cushioning effect is called the back check function. When the door is released, the stored energy in the spring pushes the piston back. The fluid is now routed through valves that control the closing speed of the door. The sweep speed valve meters the oil flow from wide open to within about 7 degrees of closed. The latch valve then takes over, controlling the last 7 to 10 degrees of the closing swing. The latch and sweep speed of the door can be increased or decreased to obtain the desired door motion. The spring adjust screw may be adjusted to obtain the appropriate closing force and to accommodate for varied door sizes and latching hardware. Our cast iron closers have easily accessible valves for adjusting back check, sweep, and latch speed functions. During the closing motion, internal pressures seldom exceed 50 psi, but some doors are located in high abuse situations. Examples might be a city high-rise on a windy day, or school doors that children constantly force to close. In cases like these, extreme pressure builds up inside the closer body. With no way for the pressure to escape, that force can damage the closer, the door, the frame, and the mounting hardware. This is why our unique self-regulating pressure relief valves are so important. Under abusive conditions, the pressure relief valve on the end of the piston senses the extreme pressure and automatically meters the fluid to achieve more normal pressure levels. The self-regulating pressure relief valve cycles rapidly during extreme pressure events to maintain control of the door. Once normal pressures are achieved, the pressure relief valve is no longer active, but ready for the next time the closer is abused. By releasing this pressure, the valve acts as a shock absorber, preventing damage to the door closer, the mounting hardware, the frame, or the door itself. Another unique feature for our cast iron closer is an independent mounting bracket. This bracket allows easy and accurate alignment. Simply install the bracket and attach the door closer. One-piece cast iron construction, the unique pressure relief valve system, and the independent mounting bracket. These are just some of the reasons our door closers last and last, cycle after cycle, year after year after year.
So that was our cast door closer. There were some specifics that are only found in cast iron door closers, but if you look at that door closer as a whole and just think as a rack and pinion door closer, then most door closers that are out there function that way. Now the valves on different models may be in places depending on what brand you're looking at, but if a door closer has latch speed, sweep speed, which is also called closing speed with some brands, a back check, and a power adjust. They would function about the same way. Now, door closers are not built the same as far as their material that they're made out of, the size of the piston, meaning the size of the piece inside that's controlling that flow, okay? Also, the makeup of the steel in the pinion, the material that the valves are actually made out of, the size of the adjustment wrench for those valves. So there are several things that change. The quality of the hydraulic fluid that's actually in the closer is important. All of these things kind of come together to give you a really durable, long-lasting door closer. So the 9500 is our high-end institutional door closer from Norton. It's a bracket mount, cast iron body, and we've actually had this third party verified that it does 25 million cycles and even more in some testing, 25 million cycles. And the point of that is, if you're specifying this door closer, we don't want you to have to replace it in a couple of years, right? You have a budget for that project. You want a closer that it's going to handle the abuse and the use of your facility. 9500 is one of those. So it's ANSI BHMA grade 1. Well, definitely, because it meets the 25 million cycles, but grade 1 is only 2 million cycles. So Norton really went above and beyond on the design and construction of this. As a manufacturer, we would actually like to increase the what it takes to become grade 1, because we think that it's kind of a low standard. 2 million cycles is kind of a low standard, but nevertheless, we exceed that by multiple times. It's a one-piece cast iron construction. What that means is it limits leak points, potential leak points. So really the only places that it could leak are right around the pinion, so the pivoting part of the door closer, the valves, and the power adjust. That's the only places that it could leak. Pressure relief valves are key for those areas with really, really high abuse or high wind. Now, I grew up in West Texas where we just didn't have very many trees. The wind would pick up, and by the time it hit the town, it could be 60 miles an hour or more, oftentimes ripping roofs off of houses, and people would think that are visiting, man, we must have had a tornado. Like, nope, just welcome to West Texas. But that would just have havoc on all of the doors and the frames that didn't have a appropriately sized door closer, or a door closer that was adjusted right with the pressure relief valves. So before I came with Assa Abloy, I was a locksmith and an installer, and I would put these on because they could handle the abuse that those winds would put it through. This is what the closer looks like with the cover off. The plastic cover is standard. It's available with a metal cover. It's a non-handed closer body, so you don't have to tell us if the closer is right hand or left hand, unless you're getting an arm that may be handed, or the metal cover itself is handed. You need to let us know what the handing is. Now, door closers are always handed to the frame, and they're not necessarily handed to the hardware itself. If your door or frame is a right hand or left hand, the closer would be handed to that. So we're not really concerned at that point if the closer is mounted on the exterior, on the push side or the pull side of the door. Closer is always mounted to the door and the frame, okay? We have several different, as you look at the closer models, the higher priced closer, the bigger closers, the more durable closers, they are also going to come with more arm options, okay? And some of those options are parallel arms, where if you just get the 9500, just part number 9500, by the finish, by the color that you want everything painted, right? It's a powder coated finish. You're going to get a tri-pack, and that's this up here. So that's parallel arm bracket, but if we take this bracket off, we can also use this arm for a regular mount or a top jam mount. You could also get a tri-pack with a hold open, and that would be specified with an H in between the series and the finish. If you're mounting top jam, where I see closers mounted top jam, that means that the closer body is mounted to frame itself. The arm is mounted to the door, and that is on the push side. So where I see this is exterior doors, where the doors swing out into the public access in the direction of egress, okay? Where we want the most strength available for that door closer. So when we mean deep reveal top jam options, we're talking about the distance from the face of the frame to the door on the push side. You need to measure that and make sure that the closer arm that you're specifying with that model will accommodate that frame width, okay? You can also get these arms that are rigid, heavy-duty arms. These are not adjustable, so the technician needs to make sure they do a really good job of reading the installation instructions and mounting that closer appropriately for that type of arm. But these are paired with, if you pair this with our cast iron closers or even our Norton 7500 grade 1 closer, they're very, very durable. They last a long time. They're very rigid, and you would specify that as a PR. So parallel, P, R as in rigid. And you can get that with a hold open or a non-hold open. A couple other arms that I want to point out is the CLP and the CLP with a hold open, right? So the closer plus arm, again, is a rigid arm. But if you look here on the screen, you'll see my cursor. That is a stop. Now that is a hard stop, meaning that if the door closer is not adjusted properly and somebody swings that door open, it's going to come to an abrupt stop once it hits this, okay? Now this is removable. You could take that out completely, and you can also move it to the other side. So it's considered non-handed. This is your holder option. This is a thumb turn where you can activate or activate the hold open feature of that arm at whim. You need to make sure that if you're going to use this arm, you're not using it on a fire rated assembly. So even if that door is only rated 20 minutes, we can't have a mechanical hold open on that door, because if there's a fire, that needs to self-close and self-latch every time. If you have really high abuse areas and a really heavy door, and your average hollow metal door weighs about 100 pounds, but you get beyond that up to around 250 range, I would personally recommend this Unitrol arm. I've used these myself in installations for years. They're awesome because they have a built-in. So when that door gets all the way to the stop position, that spring will absorb up to 30 pounds of that door force. We always need to ensure that we adjust the back check appropriately for the door closer, but in combination with the proper adjustment and this closer arm, they work really well. Now the 9500 is also available in a slide track, either push side or side. You do need to specify the tracks are different, okay? And in the sense of right hand or left hand, it will work on either, but you do need to specify push side or pull side to make sure that you get the right one. These are also available in a hold open. So there's our push side. As I mentioned, the plastic cover is standard. It's non-handed, but if you want a plated finish, you need to specify the metal cover, and that is handed. We make drop plates for our door closers. Most of our models have this as an option, and as a previous installer, it's great when you get a drop plate for the specific door. If you have a door that you're mounting either parallel or regular arm, and it doesn't fit on the top rail because it's too narrow, This drop plate allows it to mount, makes it strong. Your door closer would actually sit down into the full light door. So you also have to think that you are going to see this drop plate through a door. If you're mounting parallel or regular, you would see it through the glass. So that's something that you have to think about. At the end of all of our catalogs is a really good description of how we would order the door closers with the prefixes, with the suffixes, with the body, and Norton follows this method all the way through all of their models. Let's say that you want the cast iron closer, you want the heavy duty, you want the bracket mount, but you're replacing an LCN 4040. So the 9540 is the exact same closer as the 9500 series, but the difference is the bracket itself has different mounting holes, and it's designed to fit right over the existing holes that would be on the door for the LCN 4040 series. Same way we would order it. Now, the 410 series is also a retrofit for the LCN 40, but instead of it being a bracket mount, this particular door closer actually has the mounting holes drilled through it that mount up directly to the holes for that closer. In your warranty, available in those standard mountings that I was telling you about, regular, parallel, top jam, hold open, non-hold open. And again, the way that we order things follows through. And later on, we're going to show you how you can find all of these individual catalogs and how to navigate through them to get the information that you're looking for. So if we look at how we position these in the market, 9500 is most often a specified closer for new construction. The 9540 is a retrofit option where you need a really, really heavy duty closer and the customer has an existing LCN 4040 series that they're replacing. We've got good doors and good frames. All we need is to replace that closer. And if you're looking for a little bit lower price point, but it's the same footprint, we're not a bracket mount now, but we're still a cast iron closer, then you're looking at the 410. So moving on to aluminum door closers from cast iron. Aluminum is a fantastic material, just like cast iron. We see them in BMW engines and all kinds of stuff. 7500 series is also available with our flash ship program, stocked in several different configurations. So check your local flash ship program for the Norton 7500 series. But we have high traffic situations and applications. Again, 25-year warranty, just like the 9500. We have an option of doing a corrosion resistance with a 7500 SS. And when I mean corrosion resistant, I'm not talking about putting any of our closers, this one included, on the exterior of a building. Okay, I'm talking about if you're in an indoor swimming pool where the chlorine likes to eat everything around it that's made out of metal. You're in a chemical plant, pharmaceutical companies, places like that where they're dealing with moisture, they're spraying down floors, food service. You can get this extra coating and it just helps it on the corrosion. This door closer, along with the 9500 series, is available with a back check position valve. And back check, remember, is to slow the door when it gets opened right around the 70-degree mark. That's where our back check valve starts to engage. Of course, it's adjustable. But if you have, again, really high abuse, lots of wind, you can make that back check engage a little bit sooner than it would otherwise, right? We also can have what we call delayed action. If we look here, it says DA for delayed action. Let's say that we're moving hospital beds, we're moving carts through, we're moving ladders through the door, something like that. That delayed action can keep that door open for up to 4 or 5 minutes, depending on the angle in which we open the door. But most of the time, these doors are going to be opened to, let's say, 90 degrees. That gives you about a 2-minute window where that door will just barely creep closed. Once that 2 minutes is up, then it switches to your regular valve, your sweep closing speed valve, and then your latching speed as normal. Still available as adjustable 1 through 6. We have staked valves. The 9500 does as well. And staked valves just make sure that it's really difficult for an installer to accidentally turn a valve the wrong way. So let's say that you're adjusting a valve, your hex wrench, you're turning it, you think that you're turning it clockwise to slow the door down. But because you're working kind of upside down and your hands are up on the top, you may actually be turning it counterclockwise. I've seen it multiple times in courses where people think they're going one way, they're actually going the other. And those stakes help to prevent that valve from being removed. I remember just a few years ago, about 4 years ago, I was doing a training class. I was working with one group of students on a door closer. We had another group working on another door. They did just that. They forced that valve even past the staking, turned it really hard, got that valve all the way out, opened the door really fast, and then squirted oil all over the ceiling of the training facility. It's kind of funny at the time, but it proved a point. The stake valves are definitely necessary, but if you work really hard, you can get that valve out. Now, if the doors are leaking oil, and I think everybody on the call has probably seen a commercial door that has oil dripping down the door, the glass, that door needs to be replaced. It's a liability issue. You never know where the air bubbles that are now in that door closer are going to work through a valve. That door can go from working smooth to all of a sudden just freely closing, and the only thing that's going to stop it is somebody's head, their body, their hands, something like that. So leaking door closers definitely need to be replaced. That back check position that I was talking about, that enhanced back check, being able to move that and adjust that for doors that have a lot of abuse. And then our delayed action, this gives you kind of an example of what we're looking at. If you template that door closer to 180-degree open and you bring it all the way to the wall, then you can get 4 to 5 minutes of that closing speed delay. As I mentioned earlier, the 7500 is available in a tri-style. So if you're stocking this closer, if you're buying this for a job and you're not quite sure what the customer needs yet, on what side of the door the closer is going to be mounted, everything you need for that is in that box. So let's talk just a second about these different mountings. Right here, regular arm. Here on the right-hand side, top jam, and the bottom parallel. Parallel is probably going to be your most common when we look at schools or really any type of commercial product. You see a lot of parallel. It looks good, it's sleek, aesthetically pleasing because that arm is not sticking out into the opening or into the door, but it's 25% less strong at controlling that than the other two mounts. Just because of the leverage of this arm sticking parallel off the face of the door, it has length to control the door. So if you have an exterior door swings, and you need all the strength available in that closer, I personally would recommend doing a top jam if it's feasible. If you're able to mount that closer on the frame and you have a reveal that will work with your arm, top jam will give you more strength to get that door pulled in and latched. Regular arm for on the pull side, really efficient, but prone to vandalism because people can hang on that arm. They can use it as a coat rack and other things. Just like the 9500, we have custom made drop plates for these various models. The CLP, the Closer Plus arm, is also available with the 7500, as is the Unitrol arm, that arm that has the built-in spring to absorb some of that impact. Slide track, both a push and a pull side. In this chart, Norton is fantastic with charts. This chart tells you what type of fasteners you're going to get with the pack. And you'll see that with certain arms, some of these screw packs are standard, right? And some of them are optional. If you have a door that is not reinforced, a wood door, flush wood door that's not reinforced, then you're going to want to through bolt it. If an architect specifies doors and distributor order stores that do have the reinforcement, and then the technician goes ahead and puts through bolts, that may make somebody mad. I have seen where doors had to be replaced because they used through bolts, and the technician did not know that there was a reinforcement block for that closer to be mounted to. So communication is key when you're going either through bolts or not. Personally, I like the through bolts, especially on wood doors, and even sometimes on thin hollow metal doors. There's just not a lot of material there for those screws to bite into. If you, again, high abuse, high use, those through bolts, or what they call sleeve nuts, are definitely a good addition. We have a multitude of finishes and colors that you can get these door closers, either powder coated or plated. And if you have something custom, Norton does a lot of custom coatings as well. So if you want something that's a custom color for your high school basketball team, or for a professional stadium, they've got a lot of options. Just get in touch with Norton and they can tell you what the process is for getting that quoted. Moving away from the rack and pinion closers for a second is the 2800 ST. This is a cam action door closer. Cam action door closers are super efficient. They don't increase in force on the user through the opening cycle, but on the latching cycle, they increase just at the very end to make it easy for the door to shut, giving it more strength. We're going to watch a quick video on that, explaining our cam action door closer.
The Norton 2800 ST cam action door closer features a revolutionary design that combines the aesthetics of a track-type closer with superior performance. Our cam action closers are incredibly efficient. The secret is this unique cam assembly. Closing forces are applied to the spindle through the continuously smooth surface of the cam and roller bearing follower. The combination of the piston and cam design greatly increases efficiency. The results are astonishing. On doors equipped with cam action closers, the strength required to pull the door open remains easy throughout the entire opening range. On doors using a rack and pinion closer with a track, the effort required to open the door rises exponentially as the door is opened. There's also a difference in how each door will close. The cam action closer applies a consistent amount of force across the entire closing range, and the closing force actually rises at the last moment, right when the door needs extra force to set the latch. The force of a rack and pinion closer with track decreases as the door closes, providing the least amount of force at latch. Simply put, the Norton 2800 ST cam action door closer is the most efficient surface-mounted door closer on the market today. This means that a door equipped with this closer will feel light to open, yet still have plenty of power to overcome light stack pressure or other problems at latch. Norton cam action technology, combining the very best in aesthetics, performance, and innovation.
So where I see this used most often is when we want a super efficient door closer that is very aesthetically pleasing, just like it said. Door closer kind of blends into the opening. And once you get it plated or finished in the color that you want, that can even help it disappear even more than that. But if you think about Americans with Disabilities Act on interior non-fire rated doors, you have a limit of 5 pounds force to open that door. So if I'm a user, come up to that door, unlatch the door, and then I start opening it up, the amount of force that it takes me to open that door up cannot exceed 5 pounds. Well, that's really hard to do on heavy doors, especially when we start increasing the amount of force, increasing the power screw. That can get to a point where we're at 8.5, 9, 10 pounds of opening force to get that open. We'll fail an inspection. So the cam action door is great for that. But also, if you think about those areas where you want it easy for your customers to use your doors. Think about healthcare. Maybe they don't have to meet a particular pound rating for that opening for ADA. They just want it easier for people to use. Then this is what I would recommend. Not available, however, in regular arm, top jam, or parallel. It is a track type only. Push or pull, you need to specify which one. And we can't get a full 180 door open. So those are things you got to think about. What type of mount, and then how far do you want that door to swing open? We can't go a full 180, so those are some of the limiting factors with this closer. Again, drop plates available with most of our closers, and here's an example of how you'd build the part number string. Okay, moving on. 8000 series, we're moving down on the cost and the usage from the 7500 to the 8000 series. It's very low profile, it's sleek. You can get it with without a cover, you can get it with a full-size cover or a narrow cover. There's a view of what the closer would look like without a cover. And it is also the exact same mounting pattern as a bunch of other competitor closers. And we'll actually get to a chart later on where you can see exactly what I'm talking about with that. Back check intensity valve is an option, or is standard rather. Delayed action is an option. Your latching speed and sweep speed and your power are all standard. Here's your slim cover, your full cover, and we just saw a minute ago with that one. And lastly, we're going to talk about the 78 series. This is considered a traditional closer, but also some people call them a potbelly closer. Norton is one of the only manufacturers that still makes these, and year after year they're becoming more and more popular for those historical restorations of incredible buildings that are out there. When you want something that just looks the part but has some modern components and modern functionality, this is a great option for that. As well, you can get these with a corner bracket that will work arched doors. 10-year warranty. You can select the spring sizes. Available in parallel and regular arm. And again, you can get that corner bracket to work arched doorways. I've used this one specifically for an old church. The church was about 100 years old, had these fantastic wood doors, and we were able to make it work with a door closer with that arch opening. It was a great application. And as far as I know, this was, gosh, 15 years ago, still working to this day like it is. It's one of my features. So this brings me to some digital tools, right? I can spend all day giving you part numbers, but it's not really the way that I learn. I learn by understanding how I'm kind of built, but also where I can find information. And you can find information at our ASA Abloy DSS website and click on resource. So we're going to do that now. Show you what I'm talking about. Right here at the top says Resource Center. Hope everybody can see what I'm looking at. If you click on Collateral Materials, come here, Segment, and just click on Product. That'll allow you to select the brand. So right here, I'm clicking Norton Door Controls. That will take you to Norton's website. You can go click to Catalogs here on the left-hand side. This takes you to their digital library. Okay. What I wanted to highlight is right here on the right-hand side, if you're following my cursor, is the Norton Door Closer Reference Guide. If you're a stocking distributor or a wholesaler and you're trying to figure out what the customer brought in, they brought in a door closer, maybe it doesn't have a name on it, doesn't have a model number on it, this Door Closer Reference Guide is perfect for that. So we can look here, you can look at the Norton part numbers, all of the series, and it gives you all of our competitors, and that closer would replace. I'm going to zoom out here, and you see that this actually gives you the measurements of that particular model. So if we look here at the bottom, this is a 7500 series, and these are the measurements for the mounting holes. Get you a tape measure, you can measure the door closer the customer brings in and reference that off of this plate. If you order this from us, this actually comes full size where you can lay the closer directly over the template here to figure out which one it is. It's a great little reference guide, great tool. If we go back up here at the top to bookshelf, that'll take us back to our catalogs. I'm going to click on one catalog, show you really quick how this works. If you click on contents at the top left, our table of contents is hyperlinked to the Pacific area. So I want to look at ARM options for the 9500 series. I can just click there. It gives me all of my different ARM options and gives me an example of how I would order that. Okay, going back to contents, I can click on how to order, page 20, takes me directly to page 20, gives me all of my options, right? Going back to our DSS page here, dss.com, and clicking on support tools, you can see that we have the ASA Abloy customer support app and built intelligent instructions. The ASA Abloy customer support app is what you would use on your phone to get right here. This will take you to the resource center where you can find all your catalogs, your installation instructions, and your templates for all of our products. It's completely free to download. It also allows you to get in touch with our tech reps, our customer support agents, and you can stream live video with a tech rep so they can see exactly what you're working at if you're on site somewhere. If you're on a desktop, then this is where you want to live. Resource Center gets you to all of your different brands and all of your catalogs and all of your other information. If you're on your phone and you're working a job site with your tablet or your cell phone, the customer support app is definitely a must. If you go to your Play Store or your App Store and you just search ASA Abloy, it's the first one that pops up every time that I've ever searched it. And if you're installing access control products, auto operators, and other 90 other products, you can click on Built Intelligent Instructions or search that, download that, and it gives you 3D interactive how-to guide of getting a lot of our products installed. And with that, I want to thank everybody so much for joining in today. Again, we have new VILT sessions that are currently in the works. Stay tuned for those in the near future. Remember that we're here to serve you in any way we can at Assa Abloy Academy. You can get to us if you email us on the main website. You can email Assa Abloy Academy. That'll go to our administrator, and then we can get information there. My email is chad.tibbets@assaabloy.com. You can also reach our reps through the DSS site. If you don't know who your reps, there are ways that you can find out what territory you're in and then get in touch with the director of your territory. And as always, get in touch with us at the factory if you need anything at all. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to open this for just a couple minutes for some question and answer time. At the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A button. If you have any questions at all, please type those in. We'll try to answer those live. If not, we can respond to your question via email. And again, our VILT sessions are recorded. You can find those the same place where you were for this class. If you don't have any questions, again, everybody stay safe. Thank you for joining us today.